virtual assistant hired through us is sending a girl from one of these impoverished communities to this all girls boarding school. And so that is a big way that we fund the school and all of our programs there.
That is super cool. And I love the fact that you are empowering young women. That is a very important thing that you are doing. So I'm super, super happy that we've had this chance to talk together today about you and your company and your school and all of that. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Realizations, the podcast where I talk about everything real estate oriented. And my name is Andrea Gordon. I'm your host. And today I'm very happy to have Brad Brown on with us. I thought Brad would be an excellent person to talk to because he has been in the industry for over 20 years. And he actually runs a company called Hire Impact Outsourcing, which is essentially a company that handles virtual assistants of all kinds. And we're going to get into that with him. What I'm most interested about is that he has created a school in Kenya, Africa, where it's an all-girls Christian boarding school that is, making a difference in changing lives. As you know, that I founded this podcast because of the NAR-DOJ lawsuits. I got very angry when that happened. I got upset when there were the commission lawsuits because I felt like it was a profound disrespect of our profession and what it is we do out in the world. And rather than be angry for years at a time, I decided to create this podcast to educate the American public of all the good and all the work that real estate agents actually do and the many different lives that we touch and the different vendors that we work with and why it is that it is a complicated profession that's involved very, very heavily in communities that it serves. So welcome, Brad. That's the whole reason behind the podcast is getting a little respect for our profession.
Andrea, I'm so glad to be with you today. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity.
Great. So I have to ask you, how did you get into real estate in the first place?
So I have always had a deep love for real estate. So I grew up in a family where a lot of my family was into commercial real estate, East Tennessee, Virginia, Utah. So real estate on the commercial level was a big part of what we did. Sundays we used to go to my grandmother and granddad's, every week would be a different restaurant that they owned, or maybe they did the long-term property leases for, and they were negotiating this deal or that deal. They came along back when the interstate was first coming in and kind of getting land deals for gas stations and all that. And then my parents came along and were doing more residential properties and flipping properties and all of that. And so it was probably came by it honestly, if you will, from that angle. Thought that what I would do. And next thing I know, my wife and I were finishing college, or I guess we got married right out of college and moved to Africa. And we started doing real estate both in Kenya, but then also here in the USA. So it's been a grand adventure, that's for sure.
And you're in Durham, North Carolina right now.
Yes, we're in Durham, North Carolina.
So I have to ask, why Africa? How did you end up in Africa right after college? What made that happen?
Well, I'd like to say right out of college, we had all of our focus in life figured out. But honestly, we were head over heels in love. We were getting ready to get married within about 6 months of graduating from college there. And so we had about 6 months before grad school was going to start. And so my wife and I decided, hey, listen, let's go do something fun. Let's go live in Europe, and maybe we'll go to Salzburg, Austria. We had this grand dream of just being in love in Europe. And, we both we're Christians. And so we just started praying about it and started going, Lord, if you've got a different use of our time, let us know. But this is what we want to go do. And I'll tell you, about 2 weeks later, somebody called us and saying, hey, have you ever thought about going to Africa? I hear you have about 6 months. And we said no. And then somebody else about a week later said, hey, I hear you got 6 months. You should really go to Africa. And again, we said, hey, this is just kind of odd is what this is. And so we said, sure, we've never thought about Africa. Ultimately, we got married 3 months later. We were moving to Uganda. And we just fell in love with it. My wife was teaching in a school there. I was training locals in impoverished communities to be pastors in churches. And we just fell in love with the people there in East.
So were you being missionaries when you were in Africa?
Yeah, we were. We were there with a group called World Gospel Missions, which was an incredible, you talk about people giving up all the things that we hold dear here in America and moving over to just serve other people.
Hmm.
I mean, they were doing an incredible job.
Wow. So that is very selfless of you. Oh my goodness. Okay. And what other languages then do you speak?
I'd like to think I could speak other languages very well. Ultimately, I speak some Swahili. Over the years, I've developed some Swahili. I've got Spanish. I'll tell you, our virtual assistants, at minimum, they're in Kenya. They know at least 3 different languages, some of them up to 10.
Hmm.
And I stumble over my own English, Andrea. So,
So let me get this straight. So after your stint in Africa, after you got married, your stint in Africa, you came back to the States. You created a real estate brokerage that handled every aspect of real estate, including property management, et cetera. And then you went back and created this school in Kenya because it mattered to you to do that. And you also created this virtual assistant company that's based in Kenya. Do many of the girls from your all girls Christian boarding school end up working with you as virtual assistants?
oh, that's a great question. As far as the boarding school, the answer is no. I mean, we have tested long before we started Hire Impact Outsourcing. We had a number of people that came over to Kenya and they were trying to help our graduates get jobs. But what we have done is we've really helped our girls go on to college. And then
Great.
wherever their focus area is, whether they want to go into medicine or some want to be flight attendants or whatever, we
Hmm.
help them get to where their dreams are. When it comes to the virtual assistant outsourcing, all of ours are professionals. So, there's someone who's already got 5 to 10 years work experience, focused on whether it's bookkeeping or administrative assistance or things like that. So our girls don't apply for that yet, but several of them will be at that level before long.
Okay. And you also casually dropped grad school into your conversation there. What did you both study in grad school?
Sure. Yeah. So out of college, we went on the mission field there. And then so we came back for seminary. I was at Duke University for seminary.
Hmm.
And it was during the time we were starting our school there in Kenya, started creating businesses there in East Africa. And then ultimately we started our real estate firm here to support our work that was going on there.
Okay. Okay. And so are you an ordained minister? Is that what you do when you're not being a real estate magnate, virtual assistant company magnate, and head of a
Minister.
school?
Right. Right. Well, I am ordained. I am ordained, but not maybe in the traditional pastor sense, because our ministry, Freedom Global, there in Kenya, is a Christian ministry that has certainly run out from underneath the church here in the USA.
Mhm.
So that's where.
Wow. Okay. So if you had to mention what is the most important thing to you in life, what would it be?
Oh, I think my faith and my family are the top 2 priorities in my world. And they both influence each other. I've learned to love well because I've seen that I have been loved well, and my faith dictates that. And then, man, loving my wife and my children. We've got 3 kids. One of them is turning 13 today. So we
Oh,
are learning
congratulations.
to be
That's very
parents
cool.
of teenagers, and it's we're having a great time, and we're learning a lot. Is how we're feeling.
Yes, you will. You're just about to get into the there's the deep trouble. I can
That's
still
right.
remember the
That's right.
day that my stepdaughter decided to hate me. And she loves me now, but the teenage years are a little rough.
I hear
um,
they come back. I hear they come
yes,
back over time.
they do. The big thing is to not try to be cool because you're never going to be cool. So just forget about
And I threw cool out the window a long time ago, I'm pretty sure.
it. Okay, and in terms of your higher impact outsourcing, this is a system that's built up specifically to cater to real estate companies and realtors' needs. Is that correct?
Correct.
What are the kinds of prices involved in the work that you do? Give us a background on that. It's depending on the
Want to bring on a virtual assistant?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So if somebody wanted to bring on, it depends on the level, right? If they need someone part-time, the way we structure part-time is that's 20 hours of work a week. So for an entire month, you'd be looking at hiring someone for about $1,200 a month.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you're going full-time and you need someone in roles like administrative assistants, or, hey, we need someone to do all of our social media and graphic design or our pamphlets or those kind of things, that's a full-time role is going to be closer to $1,900 a month.
Okay.
And
See,
then,
that's very commensurate
yeah,
with what I know about the virtual assistant world. So you're right in
yeah,
line with that. Yeah.
yeah,
And do you have safeguards in place around people's finances, what have you? I know that, for example, my own virtual assistant company, they actually have to work in a building and they don't have the access to your information except on the computers in the building. They don't bring
sure.
phones in, what have you. Are you making sure to keep things on that level?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have partnered with professional security companies to
Okay.
provide, high access for just make sure all data is taken care of, finances are taken care of. We also coach our clients on, hey, what are appropriate things to be sharing with someone overseas versus not sharing.
Right.
You same thing with someone sitting in the desk next to you, right? Your
Mhm.
administrative assistant probably doesn't need your bank account numbers, right? There's some
Exactly.
coaching that goes along with this to just run with excellence. But yes, we have all those safeguards in place, no question.
Great. And when you are do you have transaction coordinators involved with what you do or just primarily administrative assistants? And
Sure. Yes. So our virtual assistants really play into each part of the real estate piece. So if it's traditional buy and sell real estate, I mean, they can be helping. Now, obviously, in the state of North Carolina, they can't be creating contracts, but they can
no.
help in things. Gathering all the data that needs to go into the MLS. Each part of the sales process. I mean, we got checklists and Loom videos and all the things it takes to make sure that they are going through each piece of the whole sales transaction process.
And
Uh,
do you have managers that are overseeing this work for them who can step in and answer any questions and provide help along the way?
yeah, so we call them our client concierge. So every time a virtual assistant is placed with a client, a real estate client, then they also have a client concierge who's helping to oversee and make sure everything that they're doing is being done appropriately. And if we need extra training in a particular area, like we're coming in to walk alongside our clients in that.
That's most excellent. I'm asking all these very specific questions because I really am a firm believer in getting a virtual assistant. You're helping somebody in another country who has a quality of life and the economy is such that you don't have to pay them the kinds of rates that you have to pay them in a state like California, where an assistant can cost you, between 80 and $100,000 a year. You're able to get work done that really, when you think about your time and how it breaks down as a realtor, you should not be the one who is creating flyers and doing
Right.
work that somebody else can do because your time is more valuable than that. And what I noticed in getting my own virtual assistant was there was a sort of a process whereby she learned how to do what she was doing. It took a little while. So you have to also be aware that it's not like day one they hit the ground absolutely running. You're going to have to get them used to how you work. You're going to have to get them used to what a basic set of tasks are. And you need to be pretty hands-on for about the first 3 months of somebody working like that, working with you so that they understand what's necessary for you. And that's the step that I think a lot of realtors don't take. But if you take that step then and help somebody, it's sort of like getting a puppy. If you house train the puppy when you first get the puppy, um, they're going to be a much better pet for you than if you don't do those sorts of things. And cutting corners and not taking the time with the people is going to affect your business tremendously down the line. You want to make sure that they truly understand what is important to you so that they can present for you in a way that you would want to be presented out into the world. Just wanted to say that out loud because I think that's the misconception people have around virtual assistants. They can't. I mean, think about it. They can't know what your business is exactly like. Everything's different everywhere. All right.
That you're,
Yeah.
you're exactly. So just think, if you hire someone to sit next to you in your desk, but you don't tell them how to do the job, or you just assume that they can do the job, they're not going to do very well for you. We can bring world class talent, but truly, every great company has a training process. And here's how we do it. Here's how we want you to do it. This is how we do it. That's unique. That sets us apart from our clients. Like, you want to teach your virtual assistant how to do those things so that they can help you shine, really. We're trying to take workload off your plate so you can shine, and then you can go do the higher value tasks. You're
How
exactly
many
right. Go ahead.
how many virtual assistants do you have working for you at this point in time?
Yeah. Once we got moving and going, we had over 400 people hired. And then with Hire Impact, our goal has from day one has been we want to be the Ritz Carlton. We don't want to be the Holiday Inn. So our
Right.
goal is thousands of virtual assistants doing mediocre jobs. We come in with each client and it's very white glove, high caliber service. In fact, rather than calling them virtual assistants, we call these our remote professionals. So our
Right.
remote professionals come in and it is specifically hired for the specific job need each client needs. Finding someone, we bring 3 to 4 candidates. So we go, these people are home run candidates. We know they've got multiple years experience doing the workload that you need them to do. And with that, we then try to find one that goes, let's make sure they meet the culture that you have in your office, right? Make sure that this is somebody you would enjoy working with. So
Mhm.
we're working hard to bring the highest caliber few rather than the mediocre, middle, low, but high volume.
Right. And is it you and your wife running everything, or how many employees in your company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the answer is no. My wife she's got her own company. She's off and running. She's taking care of our wonderful children. So this is something that has come out of our work in East Africa. But yeah, we've got team members here in the USA. Of course, we have team members all there in Kenya. And so everything runs between both countries there.
And out of curiosity, how often do you get to Kenya?
Yeah. I used to have to be over there a whole lot more before our technology got so good. So I'm
Yeah.
there about 3 times a year,
Mm.
and needed I could be there more, but I'm having calls just like this on a daily basis with our staff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you keep homes in both places?
that's a good question. We do not have homes in both places. That would be nice. I would like that. But we've been working now in Kenya for 17 years, and so we've got our school there, and we've got a lot of partnerships and lots of staff there. I mean, just with the nonprofit, they've got 43 staff members just on the nonprofit side. So we've certainly got lots of relationships and lots of couches to go crash on.
And how do you fund the school?
Yeah, Higher Impact is actually a big way that we do that. And we have traditional people that donate
Mhm.
to the nonprofit, but when people hire a virtual assistant through Higher Impact Outsourcing, a portion of what we do is as a company, we tithe and we sponsor
Right.
us to attend the school.
Very
So
cool.
every virtual assistant hired through us is sending a girl from one of these impoverished communities to this all girls boarding school. And so that is a big way that we fund the school and all of our programs there.
That is super cool. And I love the fact that you are empowering young women. That is a very important thing that you are doing. So I'm super, super happy that we've had this chance to talk together today about you and your company and your school and all of that. And, you're an example of somebody in real estate who's living out their dreams. And that's an important thing for me to point out to everybody that's listening. This is a man of the cloth, who has lived a dream. He's envisioned something, he's created it, he's made it happen, and it's worked within the industry of real estate. So there's so many possibilities out there every day for all of us if we just dream big enough. Thank you, Brad, for being on the show. I truly appreciate you. If somebody wants to contact you or your company, how can they do it?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be wonderful. So hireimpactoutsourcing.com. So hire like you hire someone. So that is a great way to reach out. Our team would love to just walk alongside and serve their companies any way we can.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate you.
Thank
Take
you,
good
Andrea.
care and have a wonderful holiday season.
You too. Thank you.
Of course. Bye.
If you loved hearing from these incredible voices shaping real estate, you'll want to catch what's next. Click the video on screen to keep discovering more inspiring stories.